When I was midway through my 3-road grade year, my family and I moved into the country, thinking it would be good to get out of the city. Now as an 8-year-old, I was happy to make new friends and tell them all my secrets and life experiences. But when word slipped out to my peers, they would laugh at me and ask me why I would even do such dumb things. They would taunt me and some would even go as far as to call me a slut. Now, this is the part where you may say, tell the teachers or an adult about the bullying. But you don't know how I was raised. Yes, I was raised to stand up for myself, but that teaching just went out the window after a while. Mainly because I was just too nice as a kid and I would just let it happen, which also is sadly why the people who had traumatized me are still walking around freely. Anyways, the bullying began to get so bad that I really only had 2 people who would stick by me and stand up for me while everyone else called us stupid. Honestly, I would have rather them call me that until they began to call me a freak. During the bullying, I was getting more and more depressed, not knowing how to cope with it, until my older siblings would come home from high school, talking about how they would dissect frogs, lizards, innards of other animals, and how calming and fun it was. Hearing that, I became interested in it. For those of you who know where the Slow House area is in California, I lived there, so there were loads of tiny frogs and toads that would come into my backyard. So as a kid, whenever I was at home alone or just by myself, I would go outside with bowls, napkins, scissors, and tweezers. Typically, kids who would see animals dead or people tearing them apart would either scare them or make them cry. But for me, I felt calm and overall happy. I would trap the small green frogs and look at them, pet them, and even talk to them before using sewing pins to pin their feet to the napkin. Since they were no bigger than a quarter, I would need small scissors to cut open their bellies. I remember them squeaking and wigging as I would slice down their bellies to open them up to see their tiny lungs still moving as they tried to breathe. Sometimes I would catch myself giggling at the sight of them holding onto that small thread of life as I would pull out each and every part of them. I remember sometimes ranting to them about my peers bullying me, or what those boys did to me in the past, or even my family. I would do this every other day or just when I wanted to until we moved midway through my 4th grade year. Not because of what I did, it was due to slumlords refusing to clean the mold growing in the house and fixing broken parts of the house and property. Anyway, when we moved back into the city, we stayed there for the next 2.5 years. During those years, I couldn't dissect frogs anymore, so I would do it to my dolls. One of them being a baby alive doll that I had cut the face with a pair of scissors because I wanted to know what her face looked like without the rubbery skin. But then suddenly, the urge and want to dissect things stopped after my dad died when I was 9. It stopped for a while until I found it again because in 6th grade we got to dissect chicken hearts. I had forgotten the satisfaction of cutting something was, how fascinating it was. As I grew older, it still has stuck with me. That urgent wanting to dissect something, the want to see the innards of anything and everything, especially when I got older. My anger has gotten worse and my fascination with dissection began my curiosity with the human anatomy. Sometimes when I'm watching a scary movie, I catch myself wondering how satisfying it would be to slice into a live person and see how the heart still beats until it finally stops. Sometimes I even wonder what it would be like to torture someone. My family's concern for me has grown, and frankly, I've even been concerned for myself. My friends I've made through high school though know how I feel, so it's gotten a bit easier. But sometimes, I wonder what it would be like if I had gone through with any of my thoughts. But for now, I'm happy with just watching scary movies and watching professionals do it for good causes.